Okay, we can't do the thumb one yet. I probably could do the thumb one, but I don't want to get any dirt or anything on there. It's pretty much sealed, but there's a crack there, so... And my thumb's in pretty bad shape from my eczema that's all scaling and shit, so we'll just skip that one today. Alright. What do you... You seem crooked. I'm not sure if you actually are. Okay, so got that. Alright, so it is Sunday. I am still getting settled in here. We are back to our Bob Rossy stuff and our Bob Ross needle felting. For those of you that are new here, here is the link to the tutorial in full from the Bob Ross YouTube channel. If you would like to go and view that in its entirety in one go, you are more than welcome to. We have the tutorial on pause a good bit of the time, and I have it muted, so we do have closed captioning on right now. Tuck that under. We don't need the pencil sharpener out right now. So yeah. Alright, so when we last left off, we had finished putting in this. I did realize, looking back at the spot in the tutorial, there's some highlights over in here coming over to the side a little bit that I did not put in. I guess I just missed them, I suppose. So we're gonna dive in with that. We're gonna pull some bits out here. Ah! It's hard to keep these a little bit light and airy sometimes. Okay, so okay, so it's kind of like comes down a little bit. Alright, so I am using yarn, acrylic yarn. Most people use roving, wool, whatever. Acrylic yarn is a lot more budget friendly for me. So that's what we're gonna be doing here. I do have a little bit of roving. It's not very much because it came with the kit I had purchased. Or I had purchased like a sample. Not really a kit, but like a sample of roving colors, just to see if this was something I had wanted to really get into before purchasing too much in the way of supplies. So I do have a little bit of that left still. Mostly because after I did a couple small ones with the roving, I was like, oh yeah, this is something I can do. And realized very quickly that there was nowhere near enough of it to do a piece of this size entirely. So we do have this measured out into like an 8 by 10-ish approximate approximate. It probably won't quite be 8x10 when we're done. It'll probably be like a little bit under. So we're just kind of getting those little bit of lighter spots worked into here. Now again, ours doesn't really need to look exactly like Bob's. We're just kind of, we're trying to follow the tutorial, but yet, since we don't have the same medium as Bob, there's gonna be some differences. That's all there is to it, so we are adding a little bit of our own flavor to this guy as we go here. So I only got like 2 hours worth of video editing done last night, so I was so tired. The allergies have not been cooperating either, at all, to say the least. Can you like not stick to that? That'd be great. So look at this guy, popped into here. You alright? Okay. Alright, so like we don't need to go too ham on this part. So I mean, these are highlighty guys. So we will just do a little bit more on like the edges of our pathway here. So this is going to be our water in here. Okay, just a little bit more. Okay, and let's see, he doesn't show too much of it off to like this side, but I do want to put just a little bit in right here. Just a little, and then we'll start on mixing our grass colors. Okay, that's probably good enough. As far as that is concerned, so that to the side there. Okay, so he's got like some bushes and shrubs here. I'm just gonna bump this tutorial forward a little bit. Ours does look a bit different. Okay, so he put his little flamey fire in there. We've already done that. Excuse me. It's a lot easier to convey that on paint. Alright, so he's gonna get his fan brush. He's gonna get yellow ochre, Indian yellow, and permanent red. And he's gonna start to put in some grassy stuff. Kind of like up in here. And then like bring it down this way. So Alright. Now if what? That's not what we want. Alright, sorry, I had to wait for that ad to go away. Are we just not... We're just not gonna get... It's not gonna be as good of a shot as we're gonna get. Alright, so let me look at my notes here. Pathway... Outside to water. I don't know what I meant by that. Orange. Glorious gold. And... Varsity yellow. Alright. So that's Buttercup. Well, it's Varsity Gold, but Varsity Gold, Glorious Gold. Okay. And straight up orange. Alright. Okay. So the stuff that's gonna be closer to the fire is gonna be a little bit more orange. Oh, we're getting just all kinds of fluff in this. Alright, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna take the band-aid off. Squeamish alert. I'm gonna try to put the cover over it. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so if we've got some orange laid in here, and we'll get just a little bit of our gold here. We'll go a little bit more of our orange. A little bit more of our gold. A touch of our yellow. Our varsity gold. Eventually I'll pick up those hand cards. I'll remember to get them. Eventually. No, let go of that. Okay. So let's see if we twist this guy together. We kind of end up with here. Can be a little stripey. Alright, so we'll work on getting that tapped in. So because it's going to be a little bit stripey, I'm going to try to turn this a little bit. As we go. Alright, so have to remember to make sure that we are popping that up a little bit. Now, the more orangey bits I'm going to try to reserve for closer to our fire here. Got a couple little loose fuzzy guys sticking up there that I'm trying to get control of. Alright, so I'm going to pop that guy up. So then over here, let's try to get smushed down in there. Alright. Carefully trim. You don't want to cut your project if you can help it. You just want to cut the loose stuff. Sorry, it's a little warm today. We have the window open. There's gonna be outside noises getting in there. Alright, so I'm just gonna kind of fan out our fiber there on the tips for the next row guy there. And this color mix, like I said, I'm only gonna use up closer. Since this one's a bit more heavy with that orange. No, I mean, we could use that in spots further back if you really, really want to. But I would do so a bit sparingly. Definitely a here and there type thing. And not an all over thing. Now I'm doing it this way because it's just easier to control with the longer tail on there than trying to snip the short piece and then try to get it to cooperate. So alright, I'm thinking maybe one more row of our heavier orange in here. And I am overlapping just a tiny bit the row above. Just a little bit. Alright, so that's probably in a good spot there. Of course, once we get started here, traffic gets loud. It's Sunday, MFers. What is happening? They're doing drainage construction on the one part of our downtown area, and I saw the sign the other day. They're like, oh yeah, expected to be completed in fall, and I was like, what? I was like, you all are gonna have this road messed up till fall? What? It's taking that long to put drainage in? I'm sorry, what? Y'all have like dug up the same section of road 3 different times now. Had this part closed, opened one lane, reclosed it, like, I'm sorry. This is getting ridiculous. So that bit could have been a little bit longer there. So I'll tell you what. As part of my fluff goes flying across my desk. Let's take this guy. And we'll kind of plop him into there. Kind of overlap him between the two. Like, we can have some gaps here and there. Because, you know, sometimes grassy things grow in a patchy way. Where there are breaks and whatnot. Alright. So I think I'm going to do a new mix here. Ow, 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 ow. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted. Okay. So let's do a new mix. What is this? This is the Glorious Gold color. We're gonna swap to being a little bit more heavy on that. We'll grab a little bit of our, a little bit more of our Varsity Gold. Oh, stop that, get in there. Alright, and we'll go just a little bit. Okay, a little bit more than that on our orangey guy. We don't want this one too heavy on the orange. I'm sorry if the way I say orange offends people. I've been informed at least once that I say the word orange funny. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. Don't want to have too much of that in there. Alright, let's tone that back down a little bit more. With some of that glorious gold. I'll pick up those hand carders eventually. If we had the hand carders, then I could just put this on those and just brush it out and get it a little bit better blended. But, you know, it's not a requirement at all. And our colors will end up... What the heck is that? Don't know what that is. Looks like a piece of tape. Our colors will end up being a little different as we go. Just because, you know, I'll never be able to get the same exact ratio of mix for every single bit of color that we're gonna do here. Oh, KofiBot has joined us today. Welcome, KofiBot. And Moobot also joined us earlier. And Stream Elements is here also. Now, I had briefly considered switching to StreamYard, but they're a little expensive for me. They don't quite fit into my current budget. So we'll be sticking with OBS for the time being. I thought about it because I had seen somebody else doing or using StreamYard, and they had some baked in background music, and since they were streaming on YouTube, I'm like, oh good, it's YouTube friendly. And I would imagine it's YouTube friendly, but I never know if something is both. And since we archive on the YouTube channel our live streams, kind of have to make sure that we are golden for both setups. So the YouTube channel name is the same name as here. And we've got not all of the live streams over there, but a good chunk of them. The posting's a little wonky at the moment. I was putting stuff live in the morning, however, we had to skip Thursday this week, so I was missing a Coral Island live stream. And so my posting schedule got a little weird, so now we had something go live around 6 last night. I think I've got yesterday's art stream going live around 6 again tonight, so I can make sure that we're following the 24-hour requirement for over here. So I do have another Bob Ross speed felt I owe you guys. I haven't forgotten. Life's just been chaos since we got back, So, like, I'm still working on the speed felt for Chungus, which is taking forever. I promise I have been working on it like every night. And even the non-stream days I've been trying to divide my time between working on that and working on off-stream projects. There's just not enough hours in the day for me lately. And sorry about the wind chimes, it's very windy today. We have a plethora of them outside. So, they're just gonna be there. Our house isn't very soundproof, so between the traffic noise and the wind chimes, it's a little noisy. Although I'm not sure how loud they're coming through on my mic. Because we changed desk positions a little while ago, before we left on our trip. And so my mic isn't directly facing the traffic or the wind chime area any longer. We might need to overlap these guys a little bit more. Just a bit. So we've got these different colors thrown in there. I found that it saves me a little bit of time to do the color mix from the get-go on the grassy bits. Before I was doing one color and then adding in the other color and then adding in the other color, and I'm like, this is dumb. There's a better way. So yeah, we've got some fluff. I didn't clean the fluff today yet off of our mat. Our mat is from Wool Buddy. It is not sponsored. So I've got the little Wool Buddy tag covered up there. Don't want anybody thinking we were sponsored. We are not. I bought that with my own money. But they have their name label very prominent on the front, and I didn't think about it till after I saw it on camera, and I'm like, oh, yeah, we should probably cover that. Alright. So this is why I waited to start the grass last week, because it's not necessarily tedious, but it does take a little bit of time. Well, everything with needle felting can take a little bit of time, really, I suppose, if you want to get down to it. It's not exactly a super fast medium for me. I guess depending on the way you're doing it, it could be for other people. It's definitely not for me. And definitely not when we're following the Bob Ross tutorials with how we're following them. just gonna brush down our back there. Our back doesn't look half bad either. But, alright. So let's mix a little bit more color. So this is our glorious gold here. Get a little bit more of our varsity gold. And these colors that we're using at the moment are all from... Oh no, they're not. It's a mix. I'm sorry. It's a combination of acrylic yarns from the Big Twist Value line from Joann's and the Paint Box Simply Chunky, not their Super Simply, they're Simply Chunky, that I picked up off of Lovecrafts, not sponsored also. Alright, so we're just gonna add just a smattering of our orange there. So the Glorious Gold is from Paint Box. The Varsity Gold is from Big Twist, and so is the orange. Alright, let's see. What does this look like here? So it's going to look similar because it's the same colors, but it's not always going to look the same because it's different amounts and stuff. Alright, so I'm just lightly taking my needle, just kind of flicking out some of the fibers. I haven't stabbed in when I'm doing that. You don't want to stab in and flick your needle because then you're going to snap it, and that's not a good time. That's an upsetting time. So not only have you snapped a needle, but then you have to find the piece that snapped. And sometimes that little piece that snaps off is very, very tiny and is a bit of a trial to locate. I once searched on a live stream for almost 20 minutes trying to find a piece that I had snapped off. Could not find it. And I went to stand up or something, and I think I was going to start searching the floor with my flashlight, and my hand brushed my pants, and I had fuzzy lounge pants on, and it was just kind of hanging out in the fiber of my pants, and I was like, oh, that is not the direction I thought you flung in. Surprise. I had one snap and go flying past my eye. I was like, oh shit. So if you're a bit of a klutz, you might want to wear safety goggles. I'm using a small gauge needle. That's all I can tell you about that. The toolkit that I had purchased only had this needle identified as S. So I don't know what else I can tell you. I didn't see any other paperwork with the actual size listed somewhere. If it was there, I missed it or lost it. I haven't had to purchase new needles yet. I'm still using the same amount, the same needles that came with the kit. So it's not like I'm snapping needles all the time. And you can make your grassy guys as long or as short as you want. We're kind of doing some a little bit longer than others. So just snipping off our excess tail there. Make sure you go back and go over that section that you just snipped from if you're going to do the snipping bit, because you're going to have some loose fibers sticking up from where you just chopped. So and I'm not being as overlappy and right up on all of the pieces as I sometimes am, because I kind of want there to be a bit more breaks around our clumps of grass this time. Make it seem like it's a little more splotchy and patchy. Because Bob says, you know, make it yours. So we are trying to add our own little touches. We don't want it to be a dead ringer copy, that's for sure. And it's not gonna be. I'm not that good. Number one. Number two, we're using a completely different medium than Bob used. So if anybody can make a dead ringer copy using fluff in this manner, I tip my hat to you. Because it's tough to duplicate his stuff with paint for me. I'm sure other people have a easier go of it. Don't forget that you don't want to get so lost in working on your grassy bits that you forget to pop up off of your mat every so often. And definitely remember the finger protectors, especially when you've got your finger down on in there. Like right up against where the needle is at times. They do serve a purpose. Especially if you have bad depth perception. And bad hand-eye coordination. They do make them in other colors. This kit just came with the brown ones. So if you're like, ew, those are ugly, I'm not wearing those, you can get them in other colors. But I do highly recommend them. Save you a possible embarrassing trip to the emergency room. These needles are very sharp. This is not something I would give a younger person to play with unless they are mature enough to handle something that's a little bit dangerous. It's not like grossly dangerous. It's not like, you know, probably about as dangerous as like wood burning or anything else that you could lose track of what you're doing and hurt yourself, but you do have to be careful. and somewhat paying attention, so if I'm a little slow to answer chat sometimes, it's because I'm trying to make sure I'm keeping track of where said needle is at any given moment. Make sure that it is not about to stab through my finger protector. Now, there is a chance that you could stab through your protector. I have done it, but it slows it down to reduce any possible injury. Because, I mean, it is just like a faux leather cover. It's just there to keep anything major from happening in case you're accidentally lost your concentration for a second. So I hope everybody's having a good weekend. And that things are going well. Alright, I'm gonna pop this up here. Just gonna brush these guys down a little bit. It's been a little minute now. I use just the kids' craft felting squares, because that's what I can afford. That's what my budget is. I know that there are places that sell like the thicker base felt that you can get that you don't necessarily have to stab as deep into. I've tried doing the more shallower stabs, and I tend to naturally do the deeper ones. I haven't really noticed that much of a difference between trying to do either or. So I mean, the more thicker you, or the more heavier you stab into, like the thicker your back piece is gonna be. But because we're using the thinner fluff, there's gonna be a lot more coming out the backside too. Like the thinner felt, excuse me. Now I think I did see some thicker craft felt when I picked up some more felt squares the other day, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't notice how much they were though. But I'm just using, you know, your basic of basic 25-cent a sheet craft felt from like the kids crafty section to work within my budget constrictions. So alrighty, we're actually going to rotate our mat now. We want to try to do that every so often as well. Okay. So let's get a bit of our glorious gold stretched out here. We'll get a little bit more of our varsity gold. And just a skosh of our orange mixed into there. Now, as I'm getting further away from our center area, I'm gonna start trying to make this a little bit heavier with our glorious gold. Okay. So let's go ahead and we will Get all of that kind of twisted up there. Okay. And we will hop right on back into where we left off before we had to swap out colors. And you can start at the tips of your grassy bits and then work down to how long you want it, or you can start at the base of your grassy bits and then work up to the tips. Just make sure that you've given yourself enough length if you're going to start at the base first. And if you are trimming, after you've tapped in some of your bits, make sure that you're not cutting into your project. So you want to try to get as close as you can to the surface of it without damaging anything, basically. I have a rough piece of skin on the edge of my finger, and it is catching everything. That's why I keep looking at it. I'm like, what is happening? It's becoming very distracting. For my brain today. I did get my mile on the treadmill today, so yay. My sock had something to say about that today, but I have like 2 particular socks that for some reason my left foot and that sock just don't like each other, and I keep walking out of it. At least when I'm in my Crocs, it keeps like ripping the sock off of that foot. Only those 2 particular ones. It's rather maddening. Like, what is happening? I just don't know. Alright. So, get this guy here. So I'm kind of like trying to take it downhill in parts, since we've kind of got this hilly section, like pathway walking down to the water. It's probably not working so well, but we're trying. We'll pick back up with the spirograph painting with the gouache next week, next Saturday. Oh, and I picked up my laminating sheets. We had to run to the store last night, unexpectedly, and I was like, you know what, let me see if they've got my laminating sheets here or if I need to order them. So I do have them. I doubt we'll be ready for them next week, but we've got them. Okay. Remember, we want to pop up off of the mat every so often so we don't become permanently attached to our mat. I don't think we'd become permanently attached, but we don't want the hassle of trying to extract the project while keeping it in one piece off of there. That got a little striping. That's alright. We'll pop another bit down on there. Oh, okay, that evened out a bit. sometimes you just kind of have to stick with it, and if it looks a little weird, tap it a little bit more, and whatever bothered you about it to begin with might just kind of melt into the background there. Alright. So I'm gonna just take our needle and kind of scrape these apart a little bit. Try to figure out the height I'm looking for here. Nope, get off there. Okay. So like his shrubs come down a little bit more than ours did, and that's fine. In our area, it doesn't in our neck of the woods. Our campfire's got its own little area ringed by trees and shrubs, and then down in here it's a little more open towards the water. Alright, so we'll get that popped into there. If you are into Bob Ross, there's a marathon, happens every weekend on the Bob Ross Twitch channel and the Bob Ross YouTube channel. They run it on both. I am not sure if it's the same video being broadcast on both platforms at the same time though. That I don't know. So I don't know if you could start out watching on one and then move to the other and pick up where you left off. I haven't investigated that far. To know if it's the same one running simultaneously on both platforms. They usually do that like Friday. I think it starts at noon. And it usually goes, I think, till noon Monday? Maybe? Unless it's like a holiday weekend or something special and they're running extra. Like, I think for President's Day weekend, they were running all through that Monday as well. So don't you be rolling off the desk. Our floors slant. So like everything like runs that way. It's one of the reasons I have a little area rug under my chair to keep my chair from rolling me halfway across my little work area here. Because we tried it without the little area rug, and it didn't work. I had to like anchor myself to my desk. I was like, this is kind of ridiculous, but putting the little area rug under it gave it enough of a grip on this floor that we've got to keep that in check a little bit at least. Right. A little snip-a-doo there. And don't forget to come back in and get the bottom that you just snipped. Because you're gonna have the loose fuzzies from where you just snipped off your excess. Just want to make sure that those are worked into there. Alright. So you can kind of see our pathway a bit there. I swear it looked like autofocus tried to come on. Hang on. I thought I turned this off. Alright. I'm having trouble with the settings on this camera setup staying. But we think it's because we're not using the camera software, because the camera software decided to be cranky and not show me the picture and act like the camera was registering with the camera software. And I'm like, what? We saw some people saying that you needed another cable and that you had to swap out the main cables and that would fix it. I have to try to find that video again to see what the cable was. We might try swapping that out, but at the same time we're a little nervous too, because it took us so much battling just to get some kind of response from the camera that we're kind of afraid to touch it now. It's like, I've got you working, so it's kind of like I'm afraid to fuck with you anymore. So you okay?
Uh-huh.
Let's grab a little bit more of our glorious gold here. Alright, do we want to put in any orange on this one? Maybe just a little. Decisions. Oh, that's like barely noticeable. But let's go a little more of our glorious gold. What did I do with that orange? Oh, there it is. So this is a new desk setup a new desk and a new desk setup that we picked up because the other desk was falling apart all around me and I had like no room to work. So we got a little bit more room to work, but I planned ahead this time and picked up some contact paper. That's what this is, this wood grain. That's contact paper, because I didn't want to rip the veneer off of the desk with the painter's tape like what happened with the last one. Even though it was painter's tape and it shouldn't have ripped off, but it did. I was like, oh, I like that pattern, and I didn't stop to think about losing my fluff on that pattern. So it's like, oh, some of these colors of fluff just kind of fade into the background. Although I probably still would lose colors of fluff if I'd gone with just clear contact paper, because the clear might have been a little too shiny too with all the lights. Because the desk is like a dark wood grainy gray, kind of like a smoky wood color. So there's still definitely a chance of losing it to the background. But that orange sure did melt in there. I'm like, where did it go? It felt like one of those moments of searching for your phone, but your phone's in your hands. And you're like waving it around like, where the hell is my phone? Or your glasses, or your keys. It felt like one of those moments. So tonight, my mom is buying us dinner. So I don't have to cook tonight, because I was only going to make chicken nuggets. But she wanted something from somewhere else, so she's like, I'll buy dinner. And I'm like, are you sure? Because, you know, we can just do chicken nuggets and french fries. Like, it's not a big deal. I just don't feel like cooking tonight. I'm tired. It's been a long week. I never thought trying to figure out what to make for dinner and actually making it would be so exhausting every night. Like, I like the same things, but I also get tired of making the same things, but I'm not an adventurous eater, so... Although if it came to it, I would probably live on, like, pizza and spaghetti, so... My mom gets mad about leftovers sometimes, so I'm like, really? So I have to kind of make something different every night. So I don't have to make dinner tonight, so that's good, but it is our family board game night that we started after my dad passed away last year. So we have to do that tonight after dinner. I might make my cupcakes tonight. I bought them and I never had the chance to make them yet. And I'm like, oh, cupcakes. And then every time I'm like thinking about making them, either I just have run out of steam for the day, or I just haven't had the time. But we might do that tonight. Get some funfetti cupcake action happening. And then, hopefully, I'll have the chance to get some editing done. Hopefully. Don't know how much before I'm just gonna be too tired to think anymore tonight, but we'll see. We'll see. Well, it's gonna be another busy day. Ah, you stay over there. I don't need you yet. You don't worry. You'll become a part of this eventually, Mr. Yellow Fluff. Sorry. Not sure if the camera caught that. The yellow fluff was trying to stick to my hand when I was putting the scissors back down. I haven't completely lost my mind, I promise. So not completely. Alright, so let's do another bit of snippy snips. I am amazed that we even got Chungus done. When did we finish Chungus? Did we finish Chungus on New Year's Eve? Might have been New Year's Eve. I'm amazed that we got him done before the year ended. Because going back and looking at all the footage, I'm just like, oh my word. I'm gonna have to go back and look at the video dates, because I don't remember if I finished Chungus on live or if Chungus was finished on a recording. I really don't. I know we missed Christmas Day deadline on him. Pretty sure. There was just no way. I mean, I busted my ass. I would have had to have started him in like the middle of November. Oh. Snip, snip, snip. You alright?
Uh-huh.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Just checking on the husband. So he used permanent red in this grassy mixture in spots, but that's because it mixed into an orange shade with the other colors. So sometimes I will just go to the color that his mix produces. Chungus is a big boy. Chungus is a big boy. Hey, boss. Chungus took for fucking ever. But of course now I have no idea what I'm gonna do for next year. Next year, this Christmas. No idea. Well, no, that's not true. I do have an idea. Okay, I'll have to remember that. I have to file that away and hope it doesn't get lost in my filing system. And that one probably shouldn't be as involved as Chungus was. One can hope. How are you today, boss?
Hey, boss.
My husband Saurus says hello. It's anything like your filing system you already forgot. That sounds about right. That sounds about right. Here, well, it's been a lazy day. I wish it was a lazy day for us. We, I think we woke up around 9:30 and then we just kind of laid there for a while. Thinking about getting up. I'm trying to wake up. My eye was watering and itchy and, ugh. These allergies are awful. And then his alarm went off for his medicine and the dog's medicine, and it's like, fuck, we have to get up. So we kind of had a little bit of a slow rushed start, because then after we did get up, things had to start happening, so like had something to eat, got on the treadmill, then like I only had like a small something, and then lunch happened and setting up for stream and dealing with a fussy Momo who wanted to go outside. And then mother-in-law things and just all of the things. And here we are. So Sunday's my fuck it all day, usually the only one. It's nice to have one of those. Oh, litter boxes had to be gotten, and we have to remember to get the dog nails either tonight or tomorrow morning. I just did another mixture of the Glorious Gold, the Varsity Gold, and a little bit, a scant amount of our orange there. Usually Tuesday or Wednesday, my non-stream days, one of those is usually my fuck the world day. One of them where I'm like, I ain't doing shit today, I'm sorry. Or at least it used to be. Or those were days where I worked on my own off-streamy projects and stuff. But I've just had so much other stuff to do, and we've just been so chaotic with things needing to get done, and haven't really had the chance to do that. Like, I have to shampoo a rug this week if I have the energy to. Don't know which day I'm gonna do that. I have to look at the weather and see. They were talking about thunderstorms a couple of days this week, and I can't really be messing around with water if it's gonna be thundering, so I have to see. Feel that technically Sunday is laundry day, and you may do other things, but so might just watch stuff and burrito in bed. Yeah. Sometimes you just need a day of not doing anything, even if it fucks up the rest of your week. That's why I'm kind of looking forward to this September vacation a bit more, because there's only one day that we necessarily have to be somewhere, and that's later in the afternoon. I would like to check out the farmer's market, but it's not the end of the world if we miss it, but we should make it because it's also later in the afternoon. But the only reason for us to get up early at all would be to go to breakfast, but I'm sure we'll probably have a couple of slow start days. Because we'll be leaving my mom with my brother and one of my aunts. And then heading on south. Like, we try to hold off doing laundry as much as possible. A, because I hate constantly doing laundry. Laundry and dishes just piss me off because they never end. They never end. They're two constants that always exist. And, so we usually try to wait until one of us runs out of clothes. Or some type of clothing before we break down and start to do it. That and, you know, water bill. So like, I have a couple of pairs of pants where I'm like, are you really dirty? Did I actually get anything on you? I think I can wear you another day. I fell in love, like, Walmart had these, pants that kind of looked like jeans, but they were leggings. They were stretchy that I kind of liked, but then the last time I went to get some, all of them said, like, high rise on, like, the stomach and stuff, and I'm like, or, like, skinny leg or something, and I'm like, I feel like this was not the cut that these used to be. I don't remember this being this cut before. And I'm, like, in between sizes on them. Like, the extra large on some of them is a little snug, but the 2X is too big. So I'm like, eh. But I found another pair of pants that are just like, I don't really want to call them lounge pants, but they're not really yoga pants either. They're, they were in the athletic section. Let me see. Those same people that make the shorts that I like. Oh, hi Zuzu. They're from Athletic Works. It's like the same material as my shorts. I just picked up another pair of shorts. Because I've got a pair of shorts that the waistband's about to give out on. Because they're like 4 years old. I'm like, well, I should really replace those. And, they started making pants, and I'm like, oh my god. I only got one pair of the pants because I didn't know if I was going to like them or not. They actually fit. It's a pair of pants that aren't too long. Like, half the pants I buy are too long. And they're, like, going over the heels on my shoes. And I'm like, I'm really not that short. I don't think. So I don't understand why all of the pants are so fucking long. And I've got 2 pairs of pants that I need the husband to hem up for me that we just haven't gotten around to, and it just annoys the fuck out of me when they're so long. And I'm like, oh my god, I love these pants. So the other night when we were in there, I was like, I have to see if there's any more pants because I need to get 2 more pairs of these before the pants go away for the winter. Because I don't care if it's warm out. I'm weird about wearing shorts in public. I don't know what it is, but I just feel weird about it sometimes. So a lot of times I'll like either get like leggings that look like jeans or I'll do like a really lightweight breathable pant. I've got a pair of capris that cut off above my ankle that I'll wear. I don't care if it's 90 degrees out. I'm a little weird about wearing shorts in public. But it's like, that's okay. I'll be warm. I'll wear a tank top or something and like a real thin overshirt over that. Like I've got a gauzy, not really gauzy, I guess it's kind of lacy. It looks like it's crocheted overshirt that I wear over a lot of my tank tops and stuff, just so that it's not just the tank top, but it's breathable. But I was like, I need 2 more pairs of these pants. So I did manage to grab those. I was like, yes. I really wanted a pair of black shorts last night, but they only had like 2 pairs of mediums in black and the rest were like gray, and I'm like, why? Gray was the only color that they had my size in, and I'm like, alright, I guess. But I want these because I kind of need them, because my one of my pairs of shorts is about to give up the ghost on the waistband. Like, it has an elastic waistband and a drawstring, and I could just make do with the drawstring, but the waistband was starting to make a crunchy noise, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's pretty much done. I had those shorts for like 4 or 5 years now, so not unreasonable considering they were not expensive shorts. So definitely got my wear out of them. 'Cause, like, I'll wear shorts around the house, I just don't like wearing shorts out in public. I'm a bit self-conscious about it sometimes. I feel naked. And I was looking at the clearance racks because they still had some. Sorry, that bit of skin was driving me crazy. They still had some wintry stuff on the clearance racks, and it's still getting chilly here and there here, and I was like, well, I could just put it away till next year. They didn't have anything good texture wise for me. They had a couple things that I kind of liked, but then I'm like, oh no, texture skeevy. It's either itchy or scratchy, and like, nope. His husband's still on the hunt for shirts. We don't know what we're gonna do for shirts for him. We're hoping that they just haven't come in yet. I was thinking they might have, because they had the bathing suits out for the girls, but it's just mostly polos, and he's looking for sleeveless shirts and or respectable tank tops that don't have the armhole cut too low. And they're kind of hard to find where they're not too tight for him. He has a couple, and I'm telling you, if we find them again, we are buying like all of them that we can find. He finally found a pair of sandals when we were away, on our way down through the Keys. We stopped at the sandal outlet, or the sandal factory outlet or something, and he found a pair of sandals that he could wear and fell in love with and kind of fit, except he's already walked the bottom, the sole funky, like on the inside sole where his foot touches. There's like a bubble starting to form. I'm like, how? You've had these like less than a month. How? He goes, oh, I've been doing a lot of walking. And I'm like, yeah, but these were not cheap and they were name brand shoes. So I'm like, how? He really wanted a pair of Birkenstocks, but Birkenstocks don't make wide shoes, and he needs a wide shoe now. Or at least we haven't found any wide.
They don't. I've checked the website.
So, mildly frustrating, because that's a hard enough inner sole that he shouldn't really walk through them. So I foresee us needing to go to Shoe Carnival in a couple of weeks. To see what summer shoes have come in. I think I'm gonna have to replace my Crocs before we go back to Florida, because I've got some flat spots on my flamingo ones that I've walked down on. Which, you know, not surprising. I had those Crocs since, like, 2020, so... Not bad considering I wore them quite a bit. I almost got another pair of Crocs when we were at Shoe Carnival the last time, but they didn't have any in the color I wanted in my size. So that was a little frustrating. Alright, so we're gonna get a bit more here. So, I mean, we've got our grassy bits coming in here. Not looking too shabby. Alright, so just kind of spreading that out a little bit. We'll get our, this is the Glorious Gold. Grab our Varsity Gold, which is a little bit more yellow. It's more like cad yellow instead of like yellow ochre. Kind of, sort of. Yeah, I mean, we're kind of getting the color palette. The color palette's kind of there. This has definitely been a challenge. I will say that. It still feels very hot messy to me. We're not done yet, so I'm still kind of trying to tell myself it's okay, it'll be okay. But I'm very much like, eh. But, this is a very different one than, what he normally does. For sure. Oh, I just leaned to the side and my back just popped. That's not usually a good thing. There was no steering bane accompanying it, so I guess we're good. My hips have been very poppy today, too. Alright, so we've got just a tiny touch of orange in there. Let's see how this does us. This one's definitely been outside my comfort zone, for sure. I think the next one is more of a traditional piece of his. It still has a building in it. Like this season, he just kind of went ham towards the end of it on stuff he doesn't normally do. Like he normally does, like the water wheel was not something he normally does. This is definitely not normal for his stuff. I think this is the only time he did anything like this. The next one's a rustic barn, and barns aren't normally different for him, but this one's a bit more up close, I believe. I could be wrong about that. Let me see. Hold on. I did Quiet Inlet, did Nightlight, Old Mill, Campfire. Well, hang on. Let me... No, I don't want an ad. Don't want an ad. And you unmuted. That's not even the ad you were showing me. Okay, so the next one is out of the norm for him in the respect that there is a barn there, but it's not tiny like the tiny cabins that he does. It's the thing. It's front and center. So this is like the season of doing all of the weird things. I think we'll be okay doing the next one. Like, I'm not so nervous about that. And like I said with this project, I do want to complete this season in needle felting before we move on to a different needle felting project. Not quite sure what we'll needle felt when we're done with this. We might do we might try to do a flamingo, we might try to do a sunset. We'll do something. I just haven't decided yet. We've got a few more tutorials to work through, because this is tutorial 10 of 13. So we have the rustic barn after this one. What was after rustic barn? Rustic barn, I think the one after rustic barn, was that the one that looked like Quiet Inlet? There was two that he did that looked almost identical, but not exactly. Okay, so yeah, so 12 is Hidden Lake, and Hidden Lake looks like it could be in the same area that Quiet Inlet was in. It's a little bit different. Like, there's differences between the two, but it's like the same purple mountain and stuff in the background, so that they look very similar. And then Steve is doing the last one in this season. You do like how different it is. Yeah, I mean, it's different. And I just get extra nervous when he starts doing wild stuff. And this was very, very wild for him. And it's a little bit tricky for me to try to convey this in the needle felting. I think when we go to paint this one, we won't have quite as much trouble. I say that now. This one's going to be a tricky one to paint in gouache because there's so much overlapping. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. It's gonna be a while before we get around to painting this one, because we're still in season 1 of our Happy Trees project. When we get done with the sketchbook cover, we'll probably do a Happy Trees gouache painting project. Because one of those we can usually finish in a day if I have enough time. Depending on how complicated it is. I need about 4 to 4.5 hours to do one of those. Roughly. I know Bob does his in 30 minutes. He has a lot more practice than me. He's on a much bigger surface. And doesn't agonize every decision like I do. And gouache is a little bit different than oil, so Now, we have done the oil painting in the past, but I think I'm hanging up my oil brushes because the smell is just too much. And my paint tube started leaking the oil. And now I'm kind of stuck with paint that I'm not quite sure how to get rid of. And paint thinner that I'm not quite sure how to get rid of. We think we can just dump it into some kitty litter, which seems to be our dumps procedure now for handling house paint. So before they considered it hazardous and you had to pay a fee to drop it off. But now they're like, just dump it in kitty litter and let the kitty litter soak it up. And then once it's dried out, they're like, throw it away. And I'm like, you sure? Okay. I guess. You do everything slowly. Well, for art and gaming. Yeah, I mean, I just get so distracted sometimes by myself. And I don't normally like to rush through stuff because then I lose my place or I forget what I was doing. And it's just tough when you're like focused on one thing, you know, it's like, oh, gotta get to the end, gotta get to the end, and then you're to the end, and then you're kind of left with like, now what? I don't have a whole lot of money to blow on games right now either, so I've just been kind of slowly meandering our way through Coral Island. And there really isn't an end to Planet Zoo. I mean, you can just be like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna move on for a little while. We'll circle back around to this later, but we're gonna keep going on Streamland Park. Until that zoo refuses to open or starts chugging my computer. And we might start over with something else, or we might take a break and play something else. That's possible. There's a couple of games coming out, maybe, towards the end of the year that I might grab. A friend had suggested one game to me and I had been looking at it and I did pick it up, but I ended up refunding it because I didn't like it felt a little clunky. I know it was still in early access, but I just didn't like the feel of it. It kind of felt like when I get a new game, I like a little bit more hand-holding in the tutorial. I don't like the game to assume I know what the fuck I'm doing. So, like, even if it's kind of like, oh, like a garden game where it's like, here, plant these. When I'm first starting out in the tutorial, I would like a little more direction of plant this here, plant that there. Just kind of starting out. But, I mean, I understand they kind of want you to plant it wherever, and you can plant it wherever. But at least for tutorial purposes, I would like them to pick a place for me to replant something and then have the caveat added to it of, or the side note added to it, where it's like, by the way, you'll be able to plant this wherever you want once you've completed the tutorial or something like that. You know, so I'm weird like that. But I ended up refunding that game because I just didn't feel right. So been bouncing between Coral and Skyrim of all things, despite completing the story a bunch. Yeah, I mean, you know, some games do have replayability on them. I'm just kind of slowly working my way through Coral Island right now because I just don't feel like rushing. And it's hard to rush through Coral Island for me, because there's so much that needs to get done. So much land to clear, and then you have to do this, and then you have to do that, but you have to do this before you can do that. So, I don't like rushing through that one. Skyrim is comfort food, and Coral is just very enjoyable. Yeah, like, I like Coral Island just to kind of, like, vegetate. It's repetitive and a little bit mindless, but sometimes I need that. And there's some stuff in there I still haven't seen yet. Because I haven't gotten my rank up. I think I just hit rank B, maybe? In my off-stream game, but I haven't had the chance to touch that in a while because I've been busy doing so many other things. But there's another farm game that I'm looking at that I've been getting advertisements for. It doesn't have a specific release date yet, but they're ballparking 4th quarter of this year. Where, you know, surprise, it's another farming game. But you also get your own shop that you can run and sell stuff that you've grown, it looks like. And that sounds interesting. So I kind of want to check that out. What the fuck was it called? I think it's called Sugar Dew. Pretty much like Stardew. But I liked the added aspect of being able to run your own shop and sell your stuff that you've made. Like your own little farm stand. That sounds interesting to me, so we'll have to see. So Medieval Dynasty also has been fun too, though you haven't played a super ton. There's a couple other like city builder things that I've got on my wish list, I think. I forget what they're called. One's Medieval something. I don't think it's Medieval Dynasty. I don't remember what it is. It's like a couple like kingdom building guys. I've got a couple that seem similar. I still have a ranching sim builder on my wish list that they keep pushing the release date back on. I had seen summer of 2023, then it got pushed back to 4th quarter of 2023, and it still hasn't come out yet, and I'm like, is this game ever gonna fucking... Like, what is happening? Let me see, what was that one called? I think it was just called The Ranchers. Let me see if they ever put a new thing on it. I may have gotten... Oh, there it is. Now it's saying 2024 eventually. The Rancher's New Beginnings. I think I've got Kingdoms Reborn on there, Farthest Frontier, Foundation, Everdream Valley, Settlement Survival, The Ranch of River Shrine. A lot of these are still in early access, and I've been seeing some somewhat positive, but like comments about the gameplay is repetitive, so I'm kind of waiting on those to see if it does make it out of early access, if it gets a little bit more non-repetitive. I've got Terra Nil, Land of the Vikings, Pioneers of Pagonia, Fae Farm. Looks like a couple of these are on sale. Everdream Valley is on sale for 50% off. None of them are hugely, grossly expensive. Well, Fae Farm's a little high for me at the moment, but that's just probably me being weird. And supposedly Russell read that they're gonna be trying to fix the loot system on Diablo 4. They said that before, and their fix or adjustment was still bullshit. So we'll see with that. Him and I were both kind of confused about why they did the loot the way they did and how it didn't make any sense. All of the loot drops, they felt so cookie cutter for D4. And like they barely changed the looks of them between classes, but it was still the same item, and I'm just like, this doesn't feel special. Because they wanted you to buy the stuff that looked interesting, but you also have to give a couple interesting freebies here and there. The people that can't afford to do that shit. I may have bought some mounts and pets for WoW. But buying mounts, and you don't have to buy mounts, but buying mounts for Diablo 4, in my opinion, felt silly to a degree for how much they were. Especially when your character is so small on the screen and you're not mounted very much. You were looking... Sorry, I had stuff in my eyes. My eyes were all gritty. Sorry about that. And now I've got something on my glasses. Fuzz. I've got fuzz everywhere. Fuzz in my eyelashes. Fuzz in my eyeballs. It's just a fuzzy good time over here. Who's the doggy standing behind me? Oh. It must have been Zuzu. I thought the husband was still in here. Last time I turned around, he was laying in bed, reading. I turn around and then he's not there. And I'm just talking to myself. Myself and Buzz. But you were looking at Last Epoch as a replacement for Diablo. It looks like it's more Diablo 3, which you loved. And all of Epoch can be single player, and that wins over D4 any day. He had me looking at something that he was like, oh, it's kind of like Diablo. There was two different ones. There was Path of Exiles, and I couldn't handle Path of Exiles. The menus were just... It was too much. Because I think you had to open this menu to get to that menu, and then it was just like an explosion of information on the screen, and I was like, this is a lot. And my brain melted, so I'm like, I can't with this. And too much info. And then he had me try excuse me. He had me try. You played that, but it was years ago. It was fun, but you didn't spend a lot of time with it. Him and Tyler played it for a while. Tyler's been on the stream a couple of times. He's like our adopted son that's not our adopted son. And we just started calling him that because he's one of the few in-person close friends that we have, and we're like, you do realize that you're probably gonna get anything that we may have in a will, any property or anything, because like we don't have kids to leave anything to or anything, so but we kind of treat him jokingly like our own kid. And so him and Tyler played that a little bit. He picked up Torchlight 2, I think. He's like, it was super cheap. He's like, it's not a big deal if you don't like it. So I tried it and I wanted to like it. It was a lot of information to get used to, because like character, like you had to, like you got level up points, but you added points to like your skills, and you could adjust different skills how you wanted. And then, excuse me, everybody got a pet, then you had like pet points. And I wanted to like it, but there was a weird camera movement with it where the camera, like, at certain times it feels like the camera is slowly, subtly moving around the board or around the screen. Strangely, at least it's more noticeable on the main menu than anything, but it kept feeling like it was pulling my eyes in different directions, and then I started to get a migraine, and I'm like, yeah, no, I can't do this. Because we were trying to find a different multiplayer to play together. Because right now, since Diablo 4 did not pan out for us, and they're going to be, I think they're shutting down Diablo 3 soon. I think. I can't remember for sure, but I thought I heard him say something about that. I could be wrong. I could be misinformed. I could be misremembering. Don't quote me on that. Look that up yourselves. I wouldn't be surprised though. The only other thing we have that we can play together is, oh, what the fuck is it? It's either Golf with Friends or Golf It. I can't remember. We have both of them, and I can't remember which one we preferred. I think it was Golf with Friends, which was, it's just like a little mini golf thing. On Steam. We used to play Puzzle Quest against each other, but that gets annoying after a while. And we could play Stardew Valley together, but now after playing Coral Island and then trying to go back to play Stardew Valley, the pixelation on Stardew Valley, which really pisses me off, was bothering me. And like, it's a pixely game, and I've played Stardew Valley for years and enjoyed it, but now all of a sudden, like, it was hurting my eyes to look at, and I'm like, what happened? Do I have a graphics setting I need to change? Like, what is going on? I don't know. It seems like I changed computers, and half the games I could play, I can't play anymore. I don't know if the better graphics card is fucking with me in that respect, or what, or if I just have to update a driver or change a setting. I don't fucking know. Stardew Valley is supposed to have a big update. You may or may not get back into it. Yeah, I did see they announced the date, or I think they announced the date for it. I might try to give it another look. We'll see. It's another one of those. I can try to take a peek at it. I don't know if it's gonna work, but alright, so I've got some more glorious gold here. Sorry, I was just checking the time. We're still good on time. I just didn't know what time it was. Needle felting has a way of becoming a time a time sink, a black hole, where I'm just like, oh shit, it's that time already. I really wanted to get more video editing done last night. And Russell was doing dishes and he's like, what are we doing about this one cutting board? There's like a crack running through it. It hasn't snapped in half yet. But he's like, I'm kind of getting weird about it. And I was like, well, we were saving that cutting board to roll pizza dough out on, and the last time I had to roll the pizza dough out on it, I had to put parchment down over it so his food anxiety didn't get weird about eating something that touched that cutting board. And I said I could just keep putting parchment over it, I guess. And he's like, I don't know. He's like, but what do you want to do? I said, it doesn't matter what I want to do. This is all on you, buddy. Like, if you can't eat anything that touches that, then there's no point in keeping it, right? Like, this is a decision you have to make. I can't make this decision for you. So I was like, if you're going to be weird about eating anything that touches that board now, then you have your answer. Then we have to get rid of it. So he's like, all right. He goes, I'm in between, he does dishes differently than I do. And so he was at a transition point. He's like, let's go replace this right now while we're thinking about it. And I'm like, he's like, what time it is? I said, it's like 9:30. He's like, yeah, let's shoot down there now before they close and replace this right now. And I'm like, editing. And I was like, all right. So I kind of had to stop in the middle of video editing so we could run down and replace the cutting board, because we had gotten another cutting board, or he did, for Christmas that he had picked out. And then after he took the plastic off of it, off of this expensive wood cutting board, he touched it, and it's wood, but it was fuzzy. And I know that might not make sense to people, but it had little tiny, like, wood hairs, like wood grains, like it wasn't sanded well enough or something, or it was like shedding little bits of wood fiber off of it. And he's like, what the fuck is this? And he's like, I'm gonna have to resand that before I can use it. And he tried sanding it and it didn't get any better, so we can't use that one. Maybe I'll paint it. It hasn't been touched with food. It would have to be for display only. But just so it doesn't completely go to waste. But that was upsetting. I thought he had gotten it from Amazon. He goes, no, we got that from this place. I was like, oh. He's like, yeah. So that was kind of vexing, because now he's afraid to use that for us to cut on because of the little tiny wood fibers that were coming off of it. And I understand that. That's fair. I really don't want little tiny wood fibers coming off either. Probably not the best thing to be using a sheddy wood cutting board. I have no idea where he vanished to. He must have gotten in the shower. Yeah, like really high fiber. Like concerningly so. There you are. Where did you go?
I went to the bathroom, had a snack.
Huh. Like Zuzu came in here and was standing behind me and I couldn't figure out what was going on. What time are we?
Probably send her at about 4 o'clock.
Okay, is there any kind of sporting event in Fayetteville today?
I have no idea.
That was Russell. Russell dropped something. I was gonna say, if there is, we might have to have her go a few minutes beforehand. Since what you guys are getting are down as a place is down by the university. It's one of the bad things about living in an area with a large college university.
Not much, anything.
Huh? Nothing happening today?
They have stuff, but nothing that is going to draw that kind of crowd.
So no baseball game?
Nope.
Okay.
No baseball, no football.
It's too soon for football, but it is baseball season starting. Because when there's a baseball game at the college and when there's a football game at the college stadiums, holy shit. Traffic just goes to fuck down there. It's like backed up coming off the interstate exit. They've got cops out there directing traffic coming off the interstate. And the only Arby's around here, which is where they're getting their dinner. Well, I mean, there's another Arby's, but it's further away and it's more of a pain in the ass to get to. It's like right across from the university. Sorry, I forgot where I was going. My brain just kind of buffered for a second. And it's a nightmare trying to deal with anything when there's an event in town. Down that end of town. So it's like, let's make sure, because this could be like a 2-hour adventure. So, just wanted to make sure that wasn't going to be a problem. It's just, on those days, it's not worth it. You want to avoid that area if at all possible. Which is why I'm glad we don't live in Fayetteville proper. Alright, so let's pop up this guy carefully. Rebrush that down. I mean, the back of this one does look kind of pretty too. I mean, you can kind of see like the ghost image of what we're doing on this side. It looks more like a watercolor painting on that side. Alright, so let's get back to doing stuff on this side. So I definitely have games that we can explore if we get tired of Planet Zoo on Friday or want to take a break from it for a little bit. That wind out there. Oh, we're up to 76. It's not consistently warm enough yet for us to put the AC on, though. Because we're still having lows in like the low 40s, 30s at night. Like this week we're kind of on a temperature roller coaster where we're having like highs in the mid 70s. You think Bob Ross was opening a portal to hell with this one? I know, right? Seriously. He was certainly trying to. I think that cowboy was really conjuring something. Or maybe he was going to be a sacrifice. Maybe he's actually tied to that tree and we can't tell. Because of the backlighting from the fire. It's 57 here, you broke a record. Yeah, it's not normally 76 this time of year here. This is warm. And we're under a burn ban, I think, at the moment, too. Because of how windy and dry it's been. And they've got the wildfires that are pretty bad out in the Texas Panhandle. Some of that crossed over into Oklahoma. It's still a good distance from us, but it's definitely something I'm kind of keeping an eye on. Because with the way this wind's been, man. It's just been this level of windy for days. It is wild. Yeah, only Bob does know. Sometimes I wonder if there was some other thoughts behind some of the paintings when he's like smirking and laughing at times. It's like, Bob knows a different story with that one. You know what? We're just gonna fold this guy up here. It was kind of small to bother trimming that one. Just tap that guy down in there. No, this is going to be our water. We haven't filled anything in for that because even the water's the same kind of burgundy dark color. So I wanted to take our time filling in our different sections of background color. So we didn't lose track of where we were. Alright. So I'm gonna grab a razor here. I don't do this very often on stream, but I'm gonna show you how to, if I can get the cover off of it. My thumb is still not ready to be in full use yet, so it's just a plain old regular razor that the makers of this pad said you can just come in and just kind of scrape that up. You can try to pull some of it out with your fingers too. Now, if you're making figurines, you won't have this much embedded, more than likely. It's just because of how we're doing it and what we're making that we tend to have a bit more get embedded. Plus, I'm using the thinner base felt. I might pick up a piece of that thicker felt just to see how that does. But I don't know if I'm gonna like it, so. Or you can just do the plucky method. I don't necessarily mind the plucky method, but sometimes I feel like I'm pulling out more of the base pad than I need to. Alright. And I'll put that to the side. Alright. Now, still have a little bit more grassy stuff to add in there, and I feel like our grassy section is kind of pushing this back a little bit further now. I was a little uncertain before we started, but we seem to be sorry, I was checking on Momo. But we seem to be pushing that back a little bit further now. So I'm gonna stretch that bit out there. I think I'm gonna put this in our discard pile. It's just a tiny bit in the grand scheme of all of this, so. I'm trying to anchor myself to the desk here because the angle I'm sitting on. Make sure I don't go sliding away. Alright, get a little bit more of our varsity gold cad yellowy color there. So I'm trying to limit how much orange I'm popping in there now. Alright, let's go ahead and twist all this together. Even though there's only a little bit of orange, it's still very bright in there. Alright. Okay. So let's work on getting some of this. And like I said, you can make some of these taller, shorter, whatever mood strikes ya. So I thought we had spread that out a little bit further. I'm working with a little bit thinner strand now, so I do have that to keep in mind. So we didn't put quite as much fluff onto that one. I mean, I think I'd rather have it be chillier and have it not be as windy. And I know March is typically windy in the beginning of the month, but it's just been like this for days. And it's starting to annoy me. The trees are all confused. Like, I don't know, we went out to go to Sam's the other day. I don't know if it was the first time I'd been truly outside during the day, or I had the chance to actually look around, and I'm like, son of a bitch, the trees are all blooming. No wonder our sinuses are melting down. Yours has settled down quite a bit. Like, we're supposed to have storms. I think it's only a 30% chance, but I thought I saw storms on Tuesday. It was originally Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of rain, thunderstorm combination of some degree. But then it changed again and went to Tuesday storms, Wednesday nothing, and then Thursday rain, and Friday storms again. So we'll have to see. I'm not going to be able to get any editing done if it's storming. Just because I don't want to risk a power failure in the middle of video editing during a thunderstorm. I think I autosave after every cut I make with this program, but I'm not certain. It does a little spinny wheel like it's doing some kind of save every time I splice film or video rather. But we'll see. Maybe I'll be getting some more work done on the flamingo painting this week instead. I also want to go to the there's a free garden I want to check out when we go back in September. I think they kindly ask for a donation, but that you don't have to give anything. But that sounds kind of cool. And we've never been to that. There's also an art museum. I don't know if it's an art museum. It might be an art gallery that's right next to it that houses the infamous Robert the Doll. Was it the East Martello Gallery or Museum or some shit? And like, they have a self-guided cemetery tour. Because apparently it became a thing for people to put weird shit on their tombstones, but it feels kind of weird doing that. I'm like, this feels kind of disrespectful. Because, like, the cemetery there is all above ground. Kind of like, the cemeteries in New Orleans and stuff. So, the ground is kind of like solid coral and rock, and it's not really dirt that they can dig down into. So they had to do, like, cement boxes above ground. And I think one of the times we were on a tour that went by there, like, some of them, the cement boxes had like cracks in the lids and stuff from age and weather and stuff, and you could see all the little geckos running in and out of the cracks. I was like, okay, gecko's gonna gecko. And then, you know, the roosters just going wherever they wanted to. Like, all the outdoor restaurants, or the restaurants that have outdoor seating, have signs all over the place that say, "Do not feed the chickens." Because they can't do anything to keep the chickens out that would harm them, because they are protected. So they're like telling, there's like signs, and they tell people, don't feed the chickens, we don't want them in here. But there's not much we can do to keep them out. The one place that we had breakfast a couple times that had outdoor seating, and we were sitting outside, they had like a little water fountain and heat lamps everywhere and stuff. Now they did have plastic that they could bring down over the side windows for when it was chilly, and I guess for when it rains. But, you know, once they open those for the day, all bets are off. So there there was a couple of roosters walking around in there. There was a couple of pigeons. And I don't know if he was an owner or a manager or just a bus person, like or a food runner or something, but they had a squirt gun, like a tiny little cheap dollar store squirt gun, near the one entrance to go in and out from the indoor seating to the outdoor seating, I guess back to the kitchen. And dude kept coming out and squirting like the sparrows and stuff that were flying around to try to chase them from the tables and stuff. Like whenever the birds like landed on the backs of chairs or got on the tabletops, they're like, no, and then like squirting them like bad cat. So like Russell and I were like, what are they doing? And then he's like, is that a squirt gun over there? And I'm like, it kind of looks like it, 'cause it was like this bright orange plastic thing. And then we're like, oh, they're using it to safely scare the birds away. It didn't do much. The birds just saw it as another challenge. And we're kind of like, up yours, Betty. I'm gonna go where I want. But it was kind of funny watching the guy endlessly battle the birds. I'm like, yeah, this thing is not gonna... This has got to be, you know, just a never-ending cycle here. I was like, is that his only job? I'm like, I don't know. But then I did see him running food a couple times to tables, so I'm like, okay, so it's not the only thing that he does. Could you imagine that being your position at the restaurant? Bird guard. Just constantly squirt gunning the birds. Yeah, pretty much. They had like a little fountain that they were landing and drinking out of anyway. So I'm like, this is just a losing battle. They're probably just like, this is fun. It was amusing us watching the battle. It's like, okay. Rooster was walking around, the birds were walking around, everybody's like, anybody gonna drop anything? And of course there was a little kid sitting at the table behind us the one morning who accidentally dropped stuff off their plate. So then the birds and stuff started hanging around under their table, and they're like, hey. Alrighty. So we're making some fairly decent progress today so far. Let's see. We might just finish this side today. We're not going to get to the rest of that side today. That'll have to be tomorrow. But we can at least try to get this side down. I'm just kind of scraping that to where I want it to go. Remember, if you're gonna scrape, don't stab in and move, just scrape the surface, like just lightly, so you don't accidentally stab in. Because the snapped needle is not a fun time at all. Alright, so let's pop that up. And grab any extra little bits of fuzz here off the bottom. Alright, go ahead and turn our mat. But it's not going so bad here. We still have a big ash tree to drop in here somewhere. And we have this little island guy to fill in. Will probably be one of the last things that we do, because I think our water is going to come in before we get to him. Oh no, because we need to do our tree. It'll still be one of the last background things that we do, I think. Alright, so there's that. Get a little bit of our orange. And let's see, a little bit of our varsity gold. That's a little too much. I don't want to mix too much color here, since it's getting towards the end of our day. We still have like a half an hour, but still. Ow. Just slammed my elbow into the edge of the desk. At least the camera didn't shake. At least I don't think it shook. We've got the camera mounted to the wall now, so hopefully we don't have shaky cam anymore when we get to really stab it in here. Now I'm pretty certain that my whole grassy area looks nothing like his. But we're trying. And I think the idea is there. At the very least. So which is really the most I could ask for. We can just kind of keep the idea there. kind of swallowed up our shading that we did. That's okay. He's kind of got his grasses intermingled with it too, so. Not a huge fussy thing. Alright. I have to try to remember to pull from different sides occasionally when I go to lift it up, just so I don't stretch out one side too much compared to the other. So we can try to keep our side edges from getting too out of line there. The less that I have to try to clean up later. The better. Now I'm not sure what color we're gonna do our dowel rods on this one. I have to see if I have enough of the half dowel rods for this one. I know I somehow didn't order enough dowel rods, I think, because I was originally gonna skip a couple in this season and we didn't end up doing that. I've got some smaller dowels that I could try to wrap the top around, and I think I might have some wooden beads or something that I can stick on the end of them, maybe to have like a little cap on the end. But I have to check. I have a box of odd and end wooden doodles. I don't even know what the fuck to call them. They're like just an odd assortment of like knobs and beads and just weird wooden shit that I picked up over the years in one of my containers. I'll have to take a look at what I've got. Maybe we can try to make a flamingo sculpture out of them. I don't know if I have enough to do that though. I'll have to see. Definitely be interesting. Okay. So let's see about getting this piece in here. Oh, careful. My finger's in there. Don't want to get too carried away. Alrighty. So yeah, that background is definitely looking a little bit more red now than just dark. So I think it's helping that we're getting some more of these colors laid in on top of that. And you know, the disco light that's going on off next to me. I can't believe this light. So we've got the secondary light on today that we picked up on clearance. When I'd been trying to use it in the white mode, like the other ring light I have on, it didn't seem to matter what white mode shade it was in. It made this horrific buzzing noise. It was so loud. And it just became so distracting and so annoying. and I was fucking around, and I was like, well, fine then, because like I didn't want any of the solid RGB colors on there because it wasn't gonna look right, and I didn't realize there was a rotating rainbow color, and that was like the first mode off of white mode, and you can't see the colors flashing on the screen. You probably could have yesterday when it was reflecting off of the case of the spirograph. That's what like the pink and the blue was. And like the weird magenta colors that were reflecting off of it, so I tried to move it to the side. But I just keep having these like disco party flashes that my glasses keep picking up to the side here. I'm like, woohoo! It's like a rave on up in here. Alright, where do I want the end of this to be? Probably about there. So I don't really want to go below that edge there, because that's going to be our water. I'm not sure how we're going to do the reflections yet. I usually skip the reflections. We might try to do something. With this one, we might be able to get the point across. Since I think on this one the reflections were just a little bit of color. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It's Momo. Hi, Momo. You can't see Momo. Momo's at Daddy. Momo went directly to Daddy this time. Momo's like, I'm not fucking around, I gotta pee.
Come here, my old man.
So I think we have to do another pee sample on him on Monday or Tuesday. Because the one antibiotic he runs out of before he runs out of the other one. But we want to stay on top of this and get this gone. If at all possible. Alrighty. Pepper's been dealing with a very treatment-resistant UTI. Okay. So we've definitely made some progress since we started today. For sure. Alright, let's pop that up. Oh, this piece of felt's very fuzzy. Oh, so you know, husband, the other bag of treats, has ripped off of the seal.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I don't know if we have to put those in a zippy or what.
Yeah, I'd probably put it in a zip pocket.
that tapped into there. We have just a little bit of a nub left right in there, so I'm just gonna kind of drop him into there and make that clump. Now I know it's a little early, but I think we're gonna stop there today, because I don't really want to mix more color than I'm gonna have time to use, because I don't like the color laying around all night, because the cats get into stuff when I'm asleep, and then I have to worry about other stuff getting into it and contaminating the color and everything overnight. So I think that's a pretty good pausing point for today, and then tomorrow we can pick back up finishing off this section here, and then we'll start to get in our grassy bits over here, which is probably all we'll have time for tomorrow. But we are making steady progress here. Pretty happy with where we're sitting at the moment. Oh, thanks, boss. So we'll pick this back up tomorrow afternoon. Don't forget to follow the link to the socialies bits somewhere. I think it's on the About page. It might be down below. There's somewhere on there. So that's the links to the YouTube page, the Ko-fi page, the Instagram, and what's left of Twitter. I don't post very often on the Instagram, but you know, whenever I do get a project done, we do post over there. I hope everybody has a good week, and that your Monday is as gentle as possible, because Mondays can be rough. And hope your evening goes well. I will see everybody tomorrow. So until next time, you guys, have a good night.